Welcome to a Sunny Side Up Life podcast, a show for the woman who is ready to live an abundant life full of freedom and positivity. I'm Sami and I'm on a mission to help you break free from survival mode, gain financial freedom, stay motivated, and focus on what matters most. Join the movement and let's start living on the brighter side of life together. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode. This week, I am sharing with you a little bit of a takeaway from a coaching call that I had the other day that I thought was a really great takeaway, and I thought that it should be shared. So, this is the story of how this conversation went. Okay, so I was talking to a client the other day, and she was talking about wanting to quit one of her jobs. And right now, I think she has like 3 different streams of income and they're all kind of like part-time jobs. And she's just kind of, stitching it all together and trying to, straighten things out and get debt paid off and get, ahead of the game and all of that, which is super common and super relatable, right? But when we're in this kind of hustle season, which I think it's fine to have this hustle season where there's a couple different streams of income, like a lot going on, really trying to knock out your goals, but also kind of remembering that hustle season isn't sustainable long term. And I think she knows that, and we've discussed that. And one of her goals is to, by around the summertime or so, quit one of her jobs. And she's like, okay, well, her daughter is almost done with daycare, and in the fall, she's going to be going to public school. Over the summer, she won't have school. And so she's like, okay, starting in June, like we have basically get a big raise because we're not paying for school. It's like a private preschool kind of daycare situation. She's like, so starting in June, we basically are getting a huge raise because we're going to have this bill fall off. And she's like, okay, so with that, I'm hoping that I can quit this other stream of income and they can kind of take care of themselves. And so we were talking mathematically what this change was going to look like. Okay, school costs this much, the income stream brings in this much. What's the difference? What's it's going to look like? And, we were running the math on it, which I think is the normal way to prepare for such a change. And we do this all the time with my coaching clients, especially, maybe a big debt is going to fall off, a big bill is changing, a lot of, hey, my kid's going into public school, daycare is going to fall off, private preschool is going to fall off, whatever that is, this big debt, maybe the car is getting paid off, maybe you're selling your house and you're moving, or you're getting a big raise, or you're quitting a job and a stream of income is going to cut off. These big changes, this is super common, and we talk about this all the time in coaching. So just like side note, shout out that if you have a big life change, like you're starting a job or you're ending a job or you're moving or a big bill is changing, you're adding it or taking it off, whichever way that change is happening, and you feel that little bit of like nervousness, I don't know what this is going to look like, I need a plan, I need help with a plan. That's exactly what we do in coaching, and that's one of my favorite things to do because it's such a stressful time in a person's life, and I love to be that person that comes in and like helps you kind of solve the puzzle and organize things, and kind of figure out how that's going to look. So side note, if you have a big change like that coming up in your life, check out coaching. It might be something that is a good fit for you. And of course, the link will always be in the show notes. So we're doing the math, and, she's like, okay, I think that math will work. And I said, yeah, it looks great. I think that's going to work. This is going to be so exciting. You can quit that stream of income and focus on this other job that you're actually more passionate about. And I said, and what's really great is the part that is the non-math part of this situation. And she's like, what do you mean? And so I said, well, if you're quitting a job that maybe is toxic or maybe just isn't aligned with your long-term goals. It's not a passion job. Even if it's not toxic, like it's fine. You know, those jobs are like, it's fine. I could keep doing it. Not super passionate about it, but I don't hate it, whatever. Or maybe it is to the point that it's toxic, like you come home in tears, you have knots in your stomach every time you have to go to work. Whatever scale, whatever place you are on that spectrum, it doesn't matter. If you have a job that it's not like your passion and there's a light at the end of the tunnel of when you're going to be able to quit that job, and then when you do actually get to quit that job because a big bill falls off or a big debt falls off or something, you know, like that happens, or this other stream of income starts bringing in enough money that it can replace that. Whatever that looks like. I've had clients in all these types of different situations. And I said, but what you have to remember is the non-mathematical return from this. So we can do the math and we can say, yeah, for sure, when preschool falls off, that's basically that whole stream of income. But when you are not at this job anymore, you will find that you will suddenly have more emotional room. You will suddenly have more energy. Because this job, even if it's not super toxic, if it's not a passion project, it's not going to add energy to your life. It's not going to fire you up. It's going to be either draining or some kind of neutral amount of energy. It's not going to bring energy into your life. And so leaving that job, okay, the numbers work, but you're going to have a little bit more energy because you're not going to dread going. You're not going to be as exhausted, right? When you're leaving, because her new job lights her up. She's going to be much more excited. So I told her, I was like, you're going to have more energy to maybe cook dinner instead of going out to dinner. There's not a real way to track those numbers. I mean, I guess you could say like, oh, hey, my grocery bill's going up, my restaurants are going down. But it's harder to track that part of progress. It's harder to track, oh, I feel better. Maybe I'm going to be a little more active, or maybe I'm going to have a little more mental capacity to take on a hobby, or to keep the house tidier, or to cook more, or to like find some things around the house to sell. Or like, for example, what actually happened on this call was we were kind of talking about this and she kind of got excited and she was like, you know what, let's go through my subscriptions real quick and let's just double check all the subscriptions and see if there's anything I can get rid of. And she actually went through while we were on the call and went into like her Apple, her like Roku subscription and like canceled, you know, I don't know, like HBO and some other couple of apps and stuff that she had subscribed to, a couple other things. She ended up canceling $50 worth of subscriptions while we were on the call. And I said, see, there you go, because you got a little boost of energy just thinking about being able to get yourself out of a job that you're not passionate about. That's just saved you $50 a month for however many months in the future you might have procrastinated on canceling those subscriptions. Because when you're burnt out, you don't have the extra energy to be like, let me go through my subscriptions. Let me shop around for good deals. Let me make a home cooked meal instead of picking up food. Let me, shop around before I buy this next thing. No, we're going to do what's easy, what's quick, because we don't have the energy or the mental capacity to take on an extra task. So when you're thinking about these big life changes, like leaving a job that doesn't energize you, getting some debts gone that are really causing you stress, there is so much more to it than the actual on paper, okay, this costs me $1,000 a month or $500 a month, whatever it is. There's so much more to it. And it is almost like a compounding interest of your energy. And I tell people all the time, when you first start, one of the first things we'll do in coaching or things that I encourage people to do on their own is to make a timeline, to make a debt-free payoff timeline, to make a savings timeline, all your different goals that you have. And chances are there's a very, very good chance that you're actually, as time goes on, going to start to achieve those goals faster and faster and faster. One goal, maybe you'll achieve it like 2 weeks early. The next one, maybe a month early. The next one, maybe 3 months early. And it's going to just compound that progress because you're going to start to gain momentum. And there's so much more to it than just the simple numbers, right? There's so much more to it. And I say that all the time, that there's much more to budgeting than just, I make X number of dollars, my bills are X number of dollars. Well, I've got to know, like, where are you at emotionally? Where are you at with your mental health? What is your home situation like? How stressed out are you? How burnout are you? Because that kind of stuff matters. It shows up in your spending habits. It shows up in how much energy you have to pursue one more thing on your to-do list, like going through your subscriptions or shopping around for good deals, right? And so think that through before you make some of these big decisions that you have. And remember that as you're going into it. It might seem like right now you're making small progress, but remember this story of that compounding interest. And when some of those debts start to pay off, or when you get that emergency fund built up a little bit, or when you get to the point that you can quit that side hustle, or you can switch careers completely to something that fires you up a little bit more, that makes you a little bit more excited to get out of bed in the morning, you're going to see so much more return than just the on paper numbers. Okay. So I just wanted to share that story with you, and I hope that it helps you wherever you are on your journey. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you're interested in coaching, or if you have any questions about maybe is coaching right for me or not. I'm not sure. Send me an email, send me a DM on Instagram. I would love to chat with you. And if you are interested in coaching, we are opening up spots currently to only the waiting list. So make sure if you are interested that you are on the waiting list, and will be getting an email. I'm gonna open it up just to the waiting list for right now. Those spots will probably fill up. So we do have quite a few people on the waiting list. But if you are interested, that is the best way to be the first to know. So that is all for me today. I hope that you guys got a little bit of inspiration out of this story, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys. Thanks for hanging out for another episode of a Sunny Side Up Life podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, because you never know who needs to hear this message. If you haven't already, please leave a review and subscribe. Reviews and subscribers are what help the podcast grow and what help new ladies find our community. And again, thanks for hitting play on this episode and for investing some time in yourself today. Remember that I'm always here to support you, and I'm always cheering you on along the way. Don't forget that everything that we mentioned in this episode will be linked in the show notes. All right, that's all for me this week. Bye, guys.